When's the right time to turn off auto renew and let a listing expire? That's the question we're going to talk about today. Hi, I'm Kathy. I'm an artist who's had my Etsy shop since 2008, and I've been using print on demand in my shop since the dawn of Etsy's acceptance of sellers to sell print on demand. At this moment, I have over 700 listings in my shop. Etsy listing fees are 20 cents per listing for a 3-month term. After that 3 months, if the listing has not sold, it expires and you have to renew it for another 20 cents. Now, 20 cents per listing is not a heavy charge, but if you look at 20 cents times 700 plus listings, it's clear to see that cost needs to be monitored. I don't want to give Etsy any more money than I already have to. So I've been making an effort to streamline. Incrementally, I'll go through my listings and allow listings to expire that do not meet certain criteria. I'll tell you what the criteria is in a minute. But before that, I want to talk about letting the listing breathe a little bit before you give up on it. In general, my history has been that I hesitate to retire listings before giving them a really good chance. So what's a really good chance? Over the years, I've learned that the Etsy algorithm can take a while to get your listing matriculated into the system and in front of the shoppers who would be the most interested in them. It can take several months for a design to catch on and find its people. Sometimes it can take even longer. So long story short, I generally don't ever like to give up on a listing too early. So when's the right time to give a listing a little vacation or a longer one? Here's some of the criteria I like to look at when deciding which listings to auto renew or to manually renew. Usually a design falls under at least one of these criteria that I'm about to go through. What's really important is that collectively these criteria help me to see things from different angles so I get a more holistic viewpoint of what's going on with my listings. In addition to print on demand, I also stock things too, so that will come into play in my criteria. Out of stock. If it's an in-house item that I ran out of stock of, and plus it's not a big seller, that's an easy expire. If it sells during a specific part of the year, you can get it ready again in a few months before it sees it next year. It's your choice, but you have the time to do so if it's only really selling at a certain time of year. For instance, I have a little mini book. It usually only really sells during graduation time, but I do like to keep it in the store all year long. I ran out of stock this spring of the book, and I haven't reordered it yet. I may order more, I may not. I really haven't decided yet, but I know that if I choose to, I should do so well before our next graduation season to make sure that I'm prepared. Trendiness. If it's a listing where the subject or topic is associated with a trend that's waned in the cultural zeitgeist, that's a good candidate to turn off auto renew. For instance, avocado designs were trendy a few years ago and they sold well, but they're not selling now. Say I have an avocado design that's currently live in my shop. I'll set it to manual renew. And if it sells within 3 months, great. Maybe I'll manual renew it again. If it doesn't sell in the rest of that 3-month time frame, I simply won't renew it. However, trendiness is a double-edged sword. Trendiness can truly be case-by-case basis, depending on the trend. Take unicorns, for instance. Unicorns became very trendy 10 or more years ago. And while they're not nearly as trendy now as they were then, they're now sort of evergreen. What I mean by evergreen is that there is now an active base of unicorn lovers who fairly consistently seek out unicorn designs. They may have waned in popularity on the general public scale, but there is a core community of unicorn people who do still seek out unicorn designs with regularity. Also, I have young nieces who are into unicorns, and they're another gold standard. They may not be my target customer, but they and kids in general can be a very strong barometer for trends. So take a look at your designs through this lens. Relevance. Relevance is kind of like trendiness, but not. One way to look at it that puts it more in perspective simply and clearly is trendiness is what's hot. Relevance is why it's hot. Is there still relevance to your design? I have designs that pop off when a new season of a streaming series is released, or say it's inspired by a Halloween movie. And when the big season is coming up, they get more popular. I also have designs that reference cultural or social topics of relevance, and depending on what's happening in the world, these designs can become more popular given that landscape at a certain time. So I try to gauge the history of the cultural relevance of the design and try and see some patterns if there are any. And that gives me a baseline for when I revisit the listing, whether the design is maintaining its relevance culturally or not. X factor. Does the design have the X factor? What's the X factor? What am I talking about? Usually for me, if a design has that X factor, this is evident through sales. So why are we even talking about whether or not to auto-renew it? Well, it often will sell only in one season of the year or at a certain time of year, or as a result of a certain cultural event. And in that season, it sells a lot. I like to keep these designs in the shop year-round because I feel it's worth it for the design to be discoverable based on the fact alone that it's dependable for even one season of the year. If there's no other questions you can ask of your listing, if it's not in any other criteria buckets, and this is also quite an intuitive thing, you might be faced with the I don't know factor. Sometimes a design may not fit in any of the other criteria. For some reason, it just doesn't sell, but you have a hard time letting it go and you just continue to keep it around. Intuition is important in why you keep something around or why you don't. Separating the intuition from your own emotions about it is a whole different thing. Figuring out why you're keeping it around will make it easier for you to separate the practical decisions to keep it around from the emotional ones, and will invite you to view the listing from a more objective point of view. I'm guilty. I have a history of being emotionally clingy to certain listings when they're not good sellers, but I personally love the design, or it means something to me, or both, hopefully both. So this is a big one for me and worth mentioning. And I'm sure this is a behavior that other artist sellers also have to manage in themselves on a regular basis as well. In the end, ultimately, if you're unsure about a listing, renewing it is still only 20 cents for 3 months. That's a small price to pay for the peace of mind if you're not ready to let a listing expire just yet. You can always renew a listing again as long as you don't delete it if you ever have second thoughts about it or something changes in trends or culture or relevance. I hope this video helps you to think about how to gauge your designs for profitability versus all the other factors that come into play for us artist sellers. And if nothing else, we had a really good therapy session. At the very least, it's good to keep your eye on your listings through this lens because we're here to make money and not to lose it to Etsy's fees. Thanks for watching my video today. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and please subscribe to my channel. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.